Hi there, it's Gabriele Nicolet from SpeechKids, and today I have with me Kelly Mahler, who is an occupational therapist, and she's going to tell you something about herself. So Kelly, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to have a chance to talk with you. I am an occupational therapist by trade. I primarily work in the school setting, so I support school-age children. I also have some young adult clients, which I've been having a really good time with. That's pretty much my professional
But
description
you
in a
have
nutshell.
a very particular specialty area, which is a little bit unusual.
Yes, my career has taken quite an adventurous spin and ride. I became very interested in a topic called interoception 8 years ago, and discovered just how important interoception is in all of our lives. And I just have become, I guess you could say, completely obsessed with the topic, and having a good fun. And I'm guessing that's why, like, we're excited to talk together today about interoception.
So for people who don't know, because most people have never ever thought about interoception, and they're guessing it's one of this that's related to sense process. What am I trying to say? Sensory processing. But walk us through, what is interoception and why does it matter?
Yeah, so interoception, it's something that we all have within our body. It's a sense. So just like your sense of sight or your sense of sound, the difference is that interoception's job is to help us feel our body. So you have receptors for interoception located throughout your body. So you have receptors for interoception in like places like your stomach, your heart, your lungs, your bladder, your skin, your muscles. And these receptors are continually pulling in information about how all of these different body parts are feeling. So the little receptors in your stomach pulling in information about how your stomach is feeling. And this information gets sent to your brain. And your brain uses these signals as clues to your emotions. So for example, like if the receptors in the lining of your stomach pulling in information that your stomach is growling, it feels empty, then your brain uses that as a clue that you are feeling hunger or you're hungry. Or maybe your interoception receptors, they take in information from your body that your muscles are tight and your hands are clenched and your skin is hot. And then your brain can use those as clues to maybe you're feeling frustrated or angry. So there's this very tight body emotion connection, and it's all because of this sense called interoception.
So, okay, I have two questions. One is, how is interoception related to proprioception? Because part of what you just said to me speaks to the sense of oneself. So how do you tease those apart a little bit?
Well, it's not very well defined in the literature and research yet, so we don't like have a definitive answer. But the way that I think about it right now, until I'm proven wrong, is that proprioception is your sense of like where your body is positioned. It's our sense of muscles and joints, and so proprioception helps us to move through the world. Like you can climb stairs without having to think about where to put your foot next, because proprioception is giving you information, your brain information about where your body is located in space. And interoception is your sense of how your body is feeling. So that's kind of like how I have it teased out in my mind.
I love it. Thank you. Okay. And so again, most people have never really thought about this. Like, we know we feel hungry, for example, but we've never paused to think about, like, okay, there's a connection that's happening, right? Like something has to register, and then my brain has to say, I'm hungry. And so now what I want to do is sort of turn that onto kids, because we're very much focused on pediatrics. What are some of the things that parents need to be thinking about in terms of interoception and their children? Like, how does this impact life with kids?
Yeah, well, I think as a parent myself, interoception is an incredibly important thing to understand, even about ourselves, and also nurture in our children. And what a lot of the research is telling us is that many people are not in tune with their bodies and with their interoceptive sense. And I think that's for many reasons. Like, I even think some days I'm completely pulled out of my body. My attention is on my laptop. I'm staring at a screen all day, especially during recent times when I'm working all day on Zoom. And so my attention is pulled outward and I am not really paying attention to how my body's feeling. So maybe I'm not really picking up on my hunger cues or my thirst cues. So I'm not eating enough or I'm not drinking enough. And so I think just as a society, we're becoming less and less attentive to our bodies. And so to bring awareness of this sense and why it's so important then can help us be in tune with our bodies, but then also as parents help our kids to become more aware of their bodies, because our bodies are giving us incredibly important information about our emotional experience. And if you're really aware of your emotional experience, then you can become much more skilled at being able to regulate your emotional needs. So I think it's just a really healthy skill to have and build in your children.
This is super interesting, actually, because as you were talking, this is exactly what meditation is designed for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like brings you back literally into your body. And so all these buzzwords, mindful breathing, meditation, yoga, all those things are connecting us to interoception. Yes?
Yes. But most people don't realize it's the science underlying why mindfulness is so helpful or why yoga is so helpful, because it is bringing us in tune with our interoception system.
So it's not an airy-fairy kind of woo-hooery at all, right? There's a scientific neurobiological underpinning
Yes.
to all of this stuff. And actually there's really good research now about meditation, especially as to what it does for our bodies and brains. But that's super interesting. I had never thought about it.
In fact, the only evidence-based intervention right now to improving interoception is mindfulness. So that all of the strategies that we are using right now are just adapted forms of mindfulness, because for a lot of my clients, they're either too young or they might have cognitive or attention difficulties where mindfulness is not a match. So we adapted mindfulness, and it's a slow build to becoming more mindful of your body in really fun and engaging ways.
And so this is the interoception curriculum that you developed. Is that right?
It is. Yeah.
Will you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the curriculum, it's designed to be really fun, and we use it for preschoolers all the way up through adulthood, but I do have some colleagues that are starting to adapt it for early intervention, which I think is so exciting. But the interoception curriculum, it's 25 lessons. So I'll just tell you about the first first 15 lessons, because they are the bulk of the work and they're really fun. And each of the lessons are broken down into one body part. So we're working on just becoming aware of your interoception signals in one body part at a time, which can be very successful for some of my learners that get too overwhelmed when we ask them to pay attention to their entire body. Like that is too much of a demand, but that's what traditional mindfulness usually does. It's like pay attention to, your body. How's your body feeling? And that's a hard thing for a lot of my learners to do. So lesson number 1, we work on hands and all the different ways your hands can feel. So like and we do fun experiments, like put your hands in cool water. How does that make your hands feel? Or hold a hand warmer. How does that make your hands feel? So we're focusing on how the hands feel, not how the water feels. So there's an important distinction there.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through lessons like that. So lesson number 2 is all the different ways your feet can feel. And then we go to the mouth and the eyes. So we start with body parts on the outside, and then we work our way into internal body parts. So like all the different ways your heart can feel, your lungs can feel, your stomach can feel, your bladder can feel. And so we're doing a lot of really exciting research on the curriculum and having amazing outcomes for the people that are participating.
And this is amazing. So, okay. So what happens? What are some of the outcomes that you're seeing? Like what happens to a child who goes through this curriculum and is starting to understand things about the signals that their own body is giving them? Like, how does that help? Why do we need that?
So we've measured 2 different things. Most of our studies are measuring what we call emotional regulation, or your ability to manage things like anxiety, stress, anger. And our current studies we've used the Interoception curriculum for 8 weeks at a time. And we're seeing statistically significant gains on emotional regulation measures, on a standardized emotional regulation measure called the Brief 2. So 8 weeks of intervention, that's it, just 8 weeks. And we're seeing incredible gains in many times the children that are participating in our study, they haven't made gains in emotional regulation in an entire year. Mm-hmm. And so we know that we're onto something, that we're addressing something that's underlying, that many times these kids are so misunderstood. Interoception is so hidden, and their interoception challenges are so hidden. Many of us just kind of take it for granted, and then they get labeled as oppositional or defiant, or, and this is bringing awareness to and helping people understand them. I think that's like really powerful, and the fact that they can make improvements in 8 weeks has been mind-blowing.
That's interesting. Okay, so when you say improvements in emotional regulation, fewer tantrums?
Mm-hmm. Fewer tantrums,
less explosive behavior.
Yes. And also what we see is they seek out coping skills on their own. A lot of my clients, they can memorize these coping skills that we teach, but they don't recognize the need to use them in the moment because they're not paying attention to their body. Mm-hmm. And so they're able to use their calming strategies or coping skills before it gets to a point of a meltdown and a tantrum. But by then it's too late. Like, a meltdown is not a teaching moment, it's not a thinking moment, right?
Or a talking moment, says the speech.
Or a talking moment, yes. Yes.
Interesting. So you are teaching them to recognize their body's signals, mm-hmm. and respond to them before the tantrum happens. So they know they're escalating, and they have tools they can use to bring them to de-escalate, essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think so often what happens, and you're a parent, I'm a parent, our kids are winding up, and number one, we haven't thought of sort of the neurobiological reality of escalation, right? Because there's all kinds of physiological changes that happen. Your stress hormones are rising, your heartbeat is quickening, you're getting ready to flee, fight, or fight, flee, fight, flight, fight, freeze, all paint, all the F words. Mm-hmm. And so so we as parents try to stop it. Mm-hmm. Often we're just feeding the beast. But so what you're saying is these guys are doing it themselves.
Yes. So they are learning to regulate through this interoception work, because they're becoming more aware of their bodies. And I think too, what is happening is that we're empowering them with language to be able to describe to other people how their bodies are feeling. And it also, when you start recognizing body signals, it gives emotion words meaning, because now all of a sudden you have this concept of, what does calm mean for my body? It means that my muscles are loose, my heart is slow, and I feel those things, so they have meaning to me now, right? And it gives emotion words concrete understanding. We've done some very informal interviews with some clients, and we asked them, like, what does calm mean, or what does excited mean? And for those that have poor interoception, those words are so abstract. They don't really understand them. They memorize them, and they fool us into thinking that they know, but they don't truly know. Yeah.
They say calm feels good. Mm-hmm. Right? And there's that value judgment on feelings.
Yes.
When really feelings are just, and I'm just finishing up 2 months worth of videos on feelings. Feelings are just, that's all they are. They're mm-hmm. how you feel.
Right.
It's not good or bad.
Right. There's no naughty feelings. They're all so important, and they're giving us really valuable information about the world around us. So
it has huge implications. I mean, my mind is racing 100 miles an hour. I want to bring it back to something that parents of young kids in particular deal with a lot, which is toilet training, potty training. Mm-hmm. How does interoception play in toilet training?
Yeah, so interoception is a huge aspect of toilet training. You have to feel the need to pee or feel the need to poop in order to be urged to get yourself to the bathroom on time. So it is like the fundamental skill that you need to be able to be independent in toileting. And my colleague, where I teach at Elizabethtown College, and my colleague, Carrie Hample, she is doing some cool work using the interoception curriculum for toilet training. And she's done 3 different studies on it, and she's having some mixed success. And so some kids are improving really quickly with over 3 weeks of use of the curriculum. And then others haven't. So we're working at looking at those studies and what do we need to add to help these kids be successful faster. But I think the kids that are having success, we are onto something. But right now, toilet training is it's approached in a really behavioral way. Like if you sit on the toilet and you get this, M&M. Yeah, but that doesn't teach someone to become aware of the way their body feels. So we're really working hard to bring awareness that interoception is a pivotal part of the toilet training process.
That is a huge, huge deal. And I would say, just for any parents watching real quick, if your child does not have any awareness of needing to go, then toilet training, it's not the right time.
Right.
I mean, for a start. And then it sounds like the interoception curriculum would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Can people get the interoception curriculum?
Yes, they can get it on my website, which is www.kelly-mahler.com.
And that's Mahler, right?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly-Mahler.
Kelly-Mahler.com.
Perfect.
Yes. But the curriculum, I will say, was originally geared and priced for professionals. However, there are a lot of parents learning about interoception and know that their kids need it, and they can't find professionals that are trained in it yet because it is such a new concept to many people. Mm-hmm. So they are using the interoception curriculums at home. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of free resources on our website if it doesn't fit your budget. So our goal is to help bring this to as many people as possible.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this. This is a big deal. I'm super excited.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Yeah.